Alderman Shuldra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very briefly, I supported it in committee and I support it again here at council. For a point of interest for the rest of council, that stadium concrete walls have lasted approximately 40 years with no major repairs. The stadium, which we all know, was donated by the Kinsman Club of Oshawa. It is a landmark. It is very unique. Apparently, we've been told it's called the Wrigley Fields of Oshawa, which is a tradition. It certainly is worthy of keeping it so, and I think another $50,000 to make it last another 50 years would be money well spent.
Thank you, Alderman Shuldra. Are we ready for the question? I guess not. Alderman Wiley.
Question to the chairman. I noticed in the report that you had consultation with the Oshawa Legion and others, I guess, who might use that facility. What was their comment in respect to repairing the wall as opposed to putting up a chain link fence?
They most definitely wanted it repaired, and they wanted the concrete to be maintained. Their views were consistent with the Ball Advisory Council. They were adamant.
Why? What was the rationale for that, Mike?
They came from the theory that we should take pride in the stadium as it is, its uniqueness. They were the ones who brought up the suggestion of that from outside, people outside the city of Oshawa have called it the Wrigley Field of Ontario. Mm-hmm. Well known for the facility.
Yeah, no question about that.
Alderman Edward Kolodzi. Edward Kolodzi.
Reconstructed.
Mr. Chairman, I've never heard it called Wrigley Fields of Ontario, not once, and I've been around almost as long as the stadium. I went to ball games down there. I saw Ted Barnes hit home runs over that wall in the old Oshawa Merchants Day, and I sold potato chips and pop there too.
He didn't sell them all.
But the argument given that it's unique, it's notable, those are weak arguments, because I'd like to remind members of council that a week ago we decided to spend $60,000 to tear down a unique and a notable building, the Queen's Hotel. Unique. A tradition, tear it down. So, using the same logic, you're flip-flopping. If you say you're going to tear down the Queens, and I saw these sheep, 13 of these sheep raising their hands last week. You know, I didn't raise my hands. I'm not a sheep. You know? I'm an individual. I can think for myself. I don't have to have somebody else think for me. Congratulations. Mr. Mayor, if you're voting to spend $50,000 on this, you're making a mistake. Alderman Joe Kolodzi pointed out a couple of very solid arguments. A chain link fence is safer, easier to repair, and really there is no real tradition down there, because there's not that many ball games. We don't have a inter-county league anymore. We don't have the games when we used to draw in 4,000 and 5,000. Remember the time when Rocky Marciano's brother played third base for the Oshawa Merchants? I remember that. That's tradition. Who was Rocky Marciano? But that's that's all gone now. It's all gone now. Let's be realistic and not accept the recommendation.
Alderman Elsey, and then Alderman Armstrong.
Mr. Mayor, I only have one comment on that. The original name was the Kinsman Memorial Civic Stadium, and I understand that the staff of the Community Services Department is looking into that and see why it was called a memorial. Now, I believe it was called a memorial after the people who served in World War II. And if that be the case, we should keep that stadium up to the best of our ability for the citizens of Oshawa and also in memory of the people who served in World War II, if that was the case indeed, and I believe it was, because this was built in 40s.
Thank you, Alderman Elsey. Alderman Armstrong?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to indicate that we were all aware, and staff brought it to our attention, the additional cost of doing the repairing the concrete versus the chain link. We made the decision, I think, based on the aesthetic value, but we also did it on tradition, although Alderman Ed Clodsey indicated there's no tradition there. The Legionnaire baseball team plays in, it may not be called an inter-county league, it's the Metro League, I believe. The Legion fully supports this. The Ball Advisory Council supports it and have done so by way of a letter. And I'm sure that because of their support, that is why our committee supported it as well, to maintain that tradition.
Alderman Nicholson?
Briefly, there's not one community between Toronto and the Ontario border who would not give their eye teeth to have that facility today, so they can make it into the tourist attraction that it deserves to attract ball players and people to this community. And to claim that is no tradition, I think, is to totally ignore the history of the city.
On item number 1, those in favor? Contrary? The motion is carried. Item